Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's September 5th, 2021, and today's video is I'm going to be going over some what I consider important safety precautions when using a compact tractor. The compact tractor that we're using the name of it is Me. It is Thea, my wife's Kubota B2601. It's a new 2021 tractor. She has had really minimal experience on tractors. She used to run our Case 995, a much larger tractor, but that was decades ago. We typically are doing different jobs, and I've been the one who's operating all the heavy equipment. So what I wanted to do in this video was to share some very important safety concepts, such as appropriate ballasting, so that and that's weight distribution, trying to get the center of gravity low and between the front wheels and the rear wheels. And so when we're doing front end loader work or grapple work with a lot of weight on the front of the tractor, we want to not create any damage, maintain good control over the tractor, because when those hind wheels come up off the ground or start to lose traction, we can lose control, especially if we're going down a slope. Another thing I talk about is appropriate level to carry the load on the front of the tractor, whether it's logs or brush or a load of mulch or dirt in the front end loader. It's so important to be able to see where you're going, be able to navigate safely, but not have the bucket too high. If you have it too low, you can lose part of your load as well. So I talk a little bit about that. I also spend a little bit of time hooking up a Titan quick hitch attachment on the back of the tractor in the 3-point hitch. And that's probably not that interesting, but I wanted her to see how I hook it up and adjust things. The other thing is that we hook up to, since it's a quick hitch attachment, we hook up to a quick hitch acceptable ballast box. Then I load it with blocks. And then the next thing I do is I've laid down some cardboard for sheep mulching around the west garden plot at the south end, so we can do more perennial plants in there. And I have a large pile of wood chips up at the top of near the top of the property. So I go up and I demonstrate the things that I'm going through with appropriate getting a load of wood chips and trying to get as much of the wood chips back to the site that I want to drop them without losing them along the way. But talking about what gear we should be in. So when you're doing loader work in low range, when you're doing traveling work in high range, M is medium range is also for mower, that sort of thing, like using the flail mower or anything that you're driving the PTO on. It could be just anything, the lawnmower in the center of the tractor as well. So it's not an ideal video. It's certainly not an ideal video for people who have experience with tractors and all. I'm just going over things that I want Thea to be very comfortable with, to be aware of, instead of me standing right over her and saying do this, do that, and the other thing. Make a couple of videos like this, and I'll be making more videos. I had to figure out where to put the camera for getting good camera angles so you can see what I'm doing with the hands. So when I'm saying shift it to low gear, drop the bucket down, so other camera angles would be helpful for her to be able to say, oh, now I know how to do it from sitting in the tractor seat, as opposed to being on the side of the bucket and seeing what level is and all. So that's hopefully something I'll do in the future. So if you have, I really would like to get anybody's comments about what sort of ideas you would have that I should be covering for safety for someone using a compact tractor like this. So that's about it. So if you find this video valuable, please give us a thumbs up. Be sure to leave any comments or questions, and be sure to stay good and safe. Take care, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now. Well, it's September 5th, 2021, and although we have lots of things to do, Thea's on vacation this week, and I'd really like her to get some experience working with Me, the Kubota B2601. but no matter what, we've got to do some things. So I have done a little bit of front end loader work, very, very small amounts. But the day before yesterday, I was moving some wood chips and putting it near the west garden plot, which is much nicer with these smaller front end loader buckets than the track loader on the skid steer. And so one of the things, whenever we're using a front end attachment, whether it's a grapple or a front end loader, even if you're moving around fairly light stuff, something that's really important is to have some ballast, some way of making the weight of the tractor, the distribution, moving the fulcrum back some. So if we got lots of weight on here and we don't have any liquid weight or wheel weights here, or we don't have a ballast box, or we don't have a heavy piece of equipment on the back of the tractor, then all the weight is on the front, and therefore the fulcrum is right here over the front axle, and that's a way of the loader losing traction from the rear wheels. And if you ended up going down a hill, the tractor could get away from you. So a key thing that I see many people with new tractors making the mistake is not having adequate ballast. So this is an adequate ballast. It weighs several hundred pounds. The flail mower here hooked up to the back of the 3-point hitch. I'm going to take this off in a couple of minutes, park it out back. I wish I had a building to put it in right now, but I don't. I'll park this out back. I'll come back here, hook up our Titan quick hitch to it, and then I'll hook on to the small ballast box and put weights in it. So this is the Land Pride ballast box here, the WB10, and this will be the first time I'm using this. This is quick hitch attachable, and I've had it hooked up before, so that's one of the things. So really important thing is, if you're doing anything with the front end of the tractor, you want to have adequate weight in the back. What we had in Optimus Prime, we had loaded wheels. So we had lots of liquid inside of the wheels, big rear tires, and we also had some weights back there. So you can buy wheel weights. It can be quite expensive. You can get the saddlebag weights that go on the back of a 3-point hitch. You can get a ballast box. You can make your own. You can put any big heavy piece of equipment on the back. A set of York rake probably wouldn't be enough. You'll see some people having a York rake on the back and then picking up something heavy in the front, and it just can get out of control. So I'm going to go out back now and remove this. One other thing I will say that's pretty important. I haven't actually had this happen. I haven't seen it myself, but my friend John, who came over recently and helped pull out my track loader, Hound, because I got it off the edge of the one of the access roads and down into one of the vernal pools. And so he came down, hooked on his big heavy chain, and we used Elon to pull Hound out. But one of the things that I think is another major concern is the height at which when you're carrying a load around. Certainly when the bucket is down here, it's real easy for the load to be a very small load, or the load will fall out the front of the bucket. When you get the load about at this level here where my arm is, it can obscure your visual field, seeing where you're going with it. So if you're traveling a distance and you got the bucket right here, you need to really have your eyes peeled. You really don't want to be carrying a load way up here, even though you can see better because you can see below the bucket. Because if you're on any slope at all, you could easily tip the tractor over. John has told me that he's had one individual that he's had, I think, to upright his tractor like 3 times. And it really isn't just uprighting a tractor. The fluids are going to move from the oil pan and get up into past the cylinder, the rings on the cylinder. There can be just a lot of issues with fluids going into locations that they shouldn't be in. So it isn't like straighten up the tractor and just fire it right up. That wouldn't be a wise thing. But the first thing to do is be aware of where your center of gravity is. So if you got the load way up here, it's real easy to tip a vehicle over. As opposed to if you carry the load down low, it's much less likely you're going to tip it over. Okay, so those are two things I wanted to mention, and I'll probably be repeating those things as time goes on. So part of what I'm doing right here in today's video is just sharing thoughts to plant these seeds of thoughts for Thea when she's working with us as well, when she's doing things independently of me. It's always handy to have some tools with you. So one of the things I'm going to do right now is just loosen up this retaining nut here. So that retaining nut, and I'm going to pull it back some because I'm going to have to adjust this. And this is something, so the third point on the 3-point hitch, if I weren't using this, if I had wheel weights on here and the wheels loaded, I might be removing this and just have less stuff behind the back of the tractor. But since I'll be using it a lot, now if I were to store it, I'd use some either degreasing or WD-40, all of the threads here, and grease the main shaft of this third point of the hitch. So what else am I going to do? Next thing I'm going to do is come down here and remove these for right now because I'm not sure what point this is going to, and I don't think I'm going to raise it up just yet. It might be okay using it at this height. Now if these aren't level, you can use this one here, just reduce this, relieve the pressure on this lock nut holding this adjustment. So these are both, one's reverse thread, one's forward thread. So by turning it counterclockwise, it's going to lengthen it, and by turning it clockwise, it's going to shorten it. So these look about the right height. We'll see in a moment. So what I'm going to do is put this pin in temporarily, not put the retaining pin in there yet. About at that point, put this one in the one that actually slides some. Actually, I may put them both in the ones that slide. So that way I've got a little bit of adjustment when I'm doing it, but it's holding it a little bit wider apart. So because of these are a swivel bolt, I can get it in part way. I'm not sure if this is showing up. So by holding it up a little bit, I was able to get the pin partially in. So it's enough in, it's not going to slide out and hit me. I'm going to pull this over, bring this one over. Get that pin in as well. Okay. Now I'm going to come down here, take it out of the retaining spot here. Pull this pin out. Okay, so far so good. I want to get this pin out. Okay. Lock that down. Now, I don't know how easy it is to see, but the quick hitch is actually leaning outward. So I'm going to go ahead, go counterclockwise here, and bring this up closer to being straight up and down. It's a really good idea to use either a lithium grease or a grease on the threads or WD-40, keeping these things pretty well lubricated. I'll adjust, well, with those being in that position, that actually gives us a little bit of play, and I think that's okay. For having the ballast box on there, I think that that's okay. So one of the other things I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure all my pins are secured all the way around. I'm going to put these pins back in the base of these buggers here. As soon as I can find the hole. Okay, that one's on. Okay, so now this has just enough movement. I'm not too concerned about it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move the camera here a little bit. So if I'm going to hook up to a piece of equipment, one of the things is that this is the retainer to hold one of the two of the 3-point hitches. So by pulling this on back, that makes it easily to receive any implement that's a 3-point hitch one. So as I drive back here with this, or back up to it, I think I'm going to have to bring this in a little bit more. Start it up for a moment and just raise this up a little bit. Okay. So this is the point where you'd be able to back up into the unit. And if you look at it now, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to start it back up and raise it up, and it should hook right out. I'm going to go to the other side here, see if this is easier to see. So, I'm not sure if you can see this, but this hook here is going into this recessed area in the metal here, and you back up to this point and then start the tractor and raise it. Now that the tractor, the quick hitch is hooked onto and raise the implement, I'm going to take these levers and make sure raise this back up again. Next, going to want to take these levers here, and you see it locks in each of the pins on each side. So now, even if I were to go over a ditch and the tractor were to climb out of the ditch, and the ground and this ballast box would make contact with the ground and lift this up, it's going to hit this container here and not get dislodged from the quick hitch attach. Okay, we're going to do a little sheep mulching now. I just put some cardboard down around the west garden plot. So, no brakes on. It's inside the shop here. It's been running a little while ago. Starts up nice and easy. Gonna go ahead, first thing I'm gonna do is lift up the ballast. Put it all the way up. Lift the bucket. Curl the bucket. I've got it in high right now, which is fine. I still get it in high. I've got it about 1,200 RPMs right now, or 12,000 RPMs, sorry. And you can see I already dropped a couple of buckets here the other day, put some cardboard down. I just finished getting as much plastic as I could off of here. So I'm gonna get some more wood chips right now. I've got the ballast so I can safely lift things with the front end. So go up to the wood chip pile. It is raining a little bit. Wonderful day in the neighborhood. So right now I have it in high gear, about 12, maybe 13,000 RPMs. Or I'm sorry, 1,300 RPMs. Okay. So I see some small chips here on this side. So as I come up here, now I could move this. I'm going to go ahead and switch her down into low, since I'm going to do some loader work. Back her up a little bit, just to move this one branch here that fell off. Drop the bucket down. Now the tip of the bucket is up, so I'm going to go to level. That's about level. Lift up a little bit. And this is going to allow me to push the branch back without digging into the ground. Dump the bucket. Now there shouldn't be a lot of wood chips in it. Yep, not a lot of wood chips. Back up over here. I hope the lens on the camera is clear. Okay, so I don't have it in just 1,300 RPMs. And so I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to go over to the side, lay the bucket down. It's in low. So as I go too far forward, you'll see the bucket starts to pick up, or the tractor starts to pick up. Now it's about level. Just going to pick it up a ½ inch above the ground level, go into it, start lifting and curling. Okay, I got more than enough here. Back up a little bit. Tilt it forward and backward a little bit, because this stuff is going to drop off. You can see there's microbes active in the pile, so that's where you see what appears to be steam, heat being generated. So since there's lots of green material in here, all right, I'm still in low now, which is loader work. I'm going to go back up into high. And I'm not working the engine too much. If I were digging in dirt or stone or heavy material, or a pile that had mulch that had been sitting there for over a year, then I would have this, the RPMs up higher than what it is. So right now I'm staying off to the side. I'm going relatively slow. It's in high gear, but I'm just barely touching the pedal down here, not too much. And I have the bucket so I can see above the bucket, so I'm not running into anything. And if I go too fast, it'll get bouncy and I'll lose some of the mulch from the bucket itself. And of course, when I go to do this, it has to start to rain a little bit more. The beautiful thing about this B2601 is that the tractor is such a small tractor, much smaller than Optimus Prime, the Case 995. So this is relatively easy to maneuver around objects and all. Much shorter turning radius. Of course, this one also has four-wheel drive, has a quick attach bucket. So the winds are calm this morning, which is wonderful. So I approach the area that I'm going to go, and I anticipate where the chips are going to fall off the front of the bucket. Back up, that's the heel. Heel down here to back up, toe to go forward. And now I can go faster since I don't have a load to carry. You don't want to be carrying a load way up here. If there's heavy weight up there, it raises the center of gravity. If I'm on an angle, I can tip it over. Oh, wave, honey! There she is! Oh my God! Thea's doing chores, and then she's going to go ahead and I don't know if she's going to do peaches or tomatoes. A lot of our peach trees are already done, and we've been too busy to harvest them, unfortunately. I know she's got to harvest blackberries today too. Hazelnuts are about ready to harvest as well. Definitely a lot of the apples are. I've got to harvest one of my favorite trees today. Boy, I got one of my most delicious apple trees out there. It's a small one, but boy, it makes really fantastic apples. Okay, so I got the bucket from there. Now I'm going to go right to the side of it. I set it down in the ground when you first get used to it. Bring it to level. Starts to lift the tractor. Lift it up a little bit. Go down into low gear over here to the side. I'm going to drive into it an inch above the surface of the ground. Then start to pick it up and curl at the same time. Back it up a little bit, shake it some. I'd rather shake it here and lose as much stuff here instead of on the way down on the driveway and all. So I'm backing around, I don't want to go too fast. Okay, now that I'm heading in the right direction, I'm going to go up to high gear again, and not going to go fast, especially over this bumpy area. Stuff is going to fall this time because I've got it across the loader arms there. And I'm hitting little bumps. When you know you're on, if you're on asphalt or really nice flat ground, you can go faster without it worrying about it bumping. But every little bump or branch that you go over with those front or rear wheels is going to be exaggerated because the bucket sits out so far in front of the tractor. This canopy is kind of nice in the rain here. This is a quick attach canopy. I haven't taken it off yet. I've got to find the instructions for it. So the plan here is wood chips will go on top of the cardboard on the outside. Again, line myself up. And then I'll be putting some of the hardwood mulch like right there around the gooseberries, building that up even higher. Because that's already showing more microbial activity that's conducive for all of the perennial plants that we got planted there. Now, whenever I'm moving things like, you know, silted soil or mulch, or leaves, it'll get up against the front screen of this tractor, and that's got to be cleaned off every day to help maintain the engine so that the temperature doesn't get too high. Okay. Drop the bucket down, tilt it forward. Now it's level. Gonna lift it up just a smidgen. Gonna put it in low gear over here. If it doesn't want to go right into low, touch the pedal just a little bit, and then it'll slide into gear. Right now I'm about 1,300 RPMs. Gonna go drive into the bucket, into the pile, start lifting and curling. Back up a little bit, shake the bucket some. Okay. Nice and slow, have it in low gear, backing it up. Okay, time to switch it back into high. And no, I did not prune the blackberry plants as I should have. But hopefully I'll make a video and show you what I'm going to do next. Well, not today, but I'll be doing soon. So having a real small tractor with a front end loader that's easy maneuverable, really fantastic for small homesteads, small farms, small horse farms. Now that I've got the ballast in the back, maybe tomorrow we'll go over and get some horse manure the next road over. And we do have the farm insurance, so I'm covered for liability and damage to the tractor if anything happens on the road. Really important. I didn't know about that law or about the restrictions on your homeowner's insurance until not too long ago. Just shaking some of that mulch off, curl it back, speed up a little bit. Beautiful day for ducks.